Today, we're gonna go deep. We're gonna talk about the relationship that changed everything for me and I believe will change everything for you. The one with your inner child. As a kid, I was a very happy, curious, troublesome, and excited kid. The kid that was asking too many questions, that wanted a lot of attention, that wanted to try everything, test everything, do everything that adults are doing. I was looking at pictures to make the thumbnail that you can see, and it's definitely brought so many good emotions in me. There was something today that told me that I want to talk to you about my therapy and what changed everything for me. If you have watched the previous streams, you have heard me for sure mentioning 13th of April 2024. This was the day when everything changed for me. And it was an art therapy, which purpose was to connect with my inner child. I was going to different therapies because I was struggling with a lot of anxiety, with people pleasing, overworking, burnout. And despite being aware of so many things that were putting me in this situation, I couldn't break the cycle. It was very difficult. I would try to change something for some time, but at the end, I would go back to the same loop, to the same negative loop over and over again. And with years, I was struggling with anxiety attacks, depression, frustration. I felt so much resentment towards myself, and I had a very negative self-talk. I was all the time blaming myself. And as I said, despite being aware of everything, I couldn't stop myself. So when I started, I was desperate for a solution because I knew that I cannot continue living my life like this. I couldn't sleep. I was all the time saying yes to everything. My schedule was crazy full. I didn't have time to even eat a meal at peace. I was having breakfast, lunch, and dinner in front of the computer. I was all the time setting everyone else's needs first before mine. And sleep was what I was always sacrificing. So once I started going deeper into the therapies, I understood that there is something more that I wasn't aware of. And this is exactly what I'm going to talk about today. So what we're going to cover today is what is your inner child? What is the definition of the inner child? How you can recognize what are the signs that your inner child is wounded. And I will share the steps that I took to be able to heal the wounds. And also, since I'm a performance coach, I will share with you how it's sabotaging your performance and how it's affecting your life and why it's important to heal the wound with your inner child, because it's sabotaging you in any like it can be either your asset or your liability. And when it's your asset, you will see, I will talk about later, I'll talk about how it helps you to perform better, and I will also talk about what happens if you don't work with your inner child, if you don't work on healing the wound that your inner child has. So I'm really excited to get into the video today. I didn't do a stream for a week. I used to do 2 per week, but last week was really busy. I was in London. Now I'm finally back home where I grew up. And that's what motivated me to make this video today, if I'm going to be honest. Coming back here, I haven't been summertime in my home country since I was at high school. So maybe how many years? 10 years, almost 9 years. So it's been a while, but being here woke up so many memories. And I was thinking it's a perfect time to talk about the most important change, the most important shift in my life. So first, let me take you back to my struggles, because I know that majority of you will recognize themselves once I start sharing with you the signs that this wounded inner child is showing. So first of all, inner child, Carl Jung defines inner child as the subconscious memory of emotional experiences, whether it's good or bad ones. So when it's bad ones, that's where we have a wound. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I've been mentioning about our analytical mind being developed once we turn 7 years old. And the analytical mind is only 5% of our consciousness, 95% is subconscious. And the subconscious mind is what is controlling our automatic behavior. Unless we work with our inner child, unless we work with our self-awareness to bring these subconscious memories on the surface so that we can work with them. So when we were kids, no matter if we had like really harmonic, it doesn't mean that you have to have a very chaotic childhood or chaotic home environment to be traumatized. You might be traumatized in many different ways. But all these memories, but by you not having attention when you were seeking attention, by you not having basic needs met, for example, you might have been crying if you didn't have anyone to come and comfort you when you were a kid. You have been feeling unsafe. You have been feeling like you have been left on your own. And all these memories, even though it might seem like nothing today, it has been such a traumatic event for this little kid. So it left abandonment wounds, it left other types of wounds that are controlling us even today. So when we ignore what has been happening to us in our childhood, and when we ignore working with our inner child, it will show up in a form of overreaction to rejection, for example, constant people pleasing, fear of speaking your truth or being seen. And it's not you, your adult, responding when you overreact, when you feel like there is an emotional turbulence. It's your little kid who felt invisible or who felt unseen or unsafe. So that's why it's very important to bring this topic up. For some people, it might be very unfamiliar. It might sound weird. For me, it did sound weird at the beginning because I wasn't aware of how I would connect, first of all, with my inner child. Second, I was like, how is this going to help me with my anxiety, with my overreaction? And once I started doing the therapies, that's when the shift happened. That's why it's important to have an open mind and try things, because they're not going to harm you. I'm not telling you to try cocaine. I'm not telling you to try drugs or anything like that. The simple thing that I'm telling you to do is to try to connect with your inner child. And I will share with you towards the end of the video what are the things that I do to connect with my inner child, as well as I will share the life-changing therapy that shifted everything for me. The moment when I truly understood what it means to connect with your inner child. So, as I've mentioned before, emotions that we don't process and that we don't and that we suppress are stored in our body. Sometimes in a form of tension, so you might feel muscle tension. Sometimes in a form of headache, anxiety. So all the emotions that we are just storing in our body and not expressing and not working with are stored in our body. And we have been storing emotions since we were children. the things that have been programmed in our subconscious mind can be changed unless we start working with it, unless we start. And the easiest way for me to overcome and to start reprogramming my people-pleasing code was definitely connection with my inner child. So as I mentioned earlier, the signs that your inner child is wounded are overreacting to rejection, constant people-pleasing, being afraid to be seen, being afraid to speak out your truth. And with that, like, you're saying yes when you mean no, so you don't know how to set boundaries. People are starting to use your niceness, your kindness. You are triggered by any kind of rejection or criticism. You attract narcissists. You minimize your needs, or you suppress your needs completely, and you suppress your emotions. And suppressed emotions are the ones usually leading to depression. So the suppression leads to depression. And this is because you have learned just to survive. You have learned as a kid that your needs are not the most important ones because of different things that have happened in your childhood. And you might also feel stuck in loops despite being focused on personal growth, because of the deep-rooted programming. So personally, I was very focused on personal growth. I was reading books, self-help books that were supposed to help me to improve in every area of my life. But whenever I would start with something, I will find a way to sabotage it. I would find a way to put myself in a burned out position. So for example, when I first got my job in the trading space, I was so excited, I was so fulfilled, and it didn't take me a full month to put myself in an overwhelmed position, and it took like 2 to 3 months for me to be completely burned out and working 16, 17 hours per day. No one asked me to do it. I did it by myself. And it was a repetitive pattern that I was noticing, but I wasn't really aware where it was coming from. I was just thinking, I'm a very ambitious person. I was kind of aware that I wanted to do way more than a normal person can handle, but I was like, you can handle it, you can do it. No, don't find any excuses, just put pressure. Like, I was forcing myself to do everything, which meant that I was neglecting my basic needs. Because what are our basic needs? First of all, sleep. You need to sleep, because if you don't sleep, your basic needs are not met. So I wasn't sleeping. I was exercising just 30 minutes cardio running when I was getting an anxiety. Because whenever I would get an anxiety attack, I would start crying and I wasn't able to breathe properly. And as soon as I would calm my heartbeat and I would start breathing normally, I used to go to the gym to run for 30 minutes to kind of feel a little bit relieved. And I was doing this over and over and over again. I remember a moment when I was biking, and my brain was telling me that I had to brake because the car was approaching me. But I was so burned out. I had not slept for a few days, like just 2 hours per night or 3 hours per night, that my reflexes were slowed down. So even though my brain was telling me brake because there is a car coming, I didn't do it. I thought that I was doing it, but I was too slow. And luckily the person was not driving too fast, so no one was hurt. But I will never forget the picture when this scared person came out of the car, crazy mad at me, and started screaming and started telling me, are you blind? Are you, like, what are you doing? Don't you have eyes? Like, you were about to make such a catastrophic accident. And for me, I was so shocked. Like, at that moment, I didn't know what. I just said sorry. But I was like, I felt like I was lost. It was a very awkward moment. And that moment was the moment when that was the wake-up call for me. You have to slow down. You have to take a step back. So I took a step back. I slowed down for a short period of time and then I pressed on the gas again. As soon as I was feeling better, I was again pressing on the gas like crazy. And then the second wave of anxiety attacks came in, and that's when I started talking about it with my yoga teacher in Sweden. And she was the one that started encouraging me to look more deeper into different mindfulness techniques, because I was practicing yoga there and meditation, but there was nothing really deep. But since she kind of encouraged me to and gave me suggestions to look into different materials, that's when I started reading about childhood programming and traumas. And this is something that I had a psychologist back then, and I was working with a psychologist, but she was helping me just temporary to feel a little bit better, but it was not solving a temporary problem. So when I started digging deeper to understand how how such kind of things have been healed in back in the days when medicine was not as developed as it is today, when things were not as advanced and sophisticated as they are nowadays, I started digging deeper into holistic medicine and reading more about childhood trauma, and that's where the inner child came up. So I started with with inner work. That's how it's called. Some people know it as inner work. Some people don't know what inner work means, but inner work means working with your subconscious programming to heal your traumas and your wounds. So I started this journey, and the most life-changing moment for me was 13th of April 2024 in Malaysia. I connected to, it was a trader who connected me with one woman. We went on one session together. This trader went through a difficult period. I have talked about this in previous live streams, but a year ago, so I can maybe share this story as well. This person lost over $800,000 from private investors, which put him in a very bad position, and he was struggling with depression for quite some time, and this led him to seek help from the therapists that I met in Malaysia. So when we were talking about this period that he shared, like this story that he shared with me, I asked him, can I meet your therapist? Because I'm struggling myself, and I was willing to try anything because I was so sick of my situation. I was so tired of it. I was desperate for a change, so I was willing to try anything. So he was like, sure, I will connect you with her. And we went straight to the first session that was free. We went together. The first session was nice, but it was not life-changing. It was sound bathing. I felt calm. I felt at peace after the session, but it was nothing life-changing. And then I took a moment to talk to the therapist, and she looked at me and she said, I think that you need an art therapy to connect with your inner child. And I was like, interesting, okay. And I asked her, when do you have an art therapy session? And it was exactly the next day. And I told her, do you have a spot? And she said, yeah. And I went straight the next day. I first didn't know what to expect, because art therapy, I was like, how is this gonna look like? First of all, like, how is this therapy gonna help me if I'm gonna draw a few like paintings, or I didn't even know what we were gonna do. But I went there, and we started with sound bathing. The purpose with sound bathing is for them to put you in a theta brainwave state. And this is the brainwave state that is connection between the conscious and the subconscious. Is the state when you are half asleep, half awake. So we are in alpha, theta brainwave state once we wake up or before we fall asleep. And that's when reprogramming is most powerful. That's why whenever I work with a client, I'm telling them that they should visualize before they go to bed and as soon as they wake up, because the visualization will be most powerful during this period because of the theta brainwave state. So what happened was they put us in a theta brainwave state with sound bathing, with some first we started with stretching. They put us in theta brainwave state, we were relaxed, and then they started with a guided visualization. And this guided visualization was so powerful. I remember that I was sitting, I didn't feel anything, and just tears were falling from my eyes. Like, I wasn't crying like to hear me cry, but tears were falling from my eyes. And the visualization was a very long one, of course. I'm not going to share with you step by step everything that happened during the visualization. This is something that I've included in the course because it was such an important part in my life, and I understood that those kind of therapies are the most effective and least harmful therapies that you can find. That's why I'm so much against the modern medicine and people encouraging you to just take a pill to get a quick fix that is not going to help you long term, that is going to just cause other side effects that will be even more detrimental long term. So whenever you go to, if you're going to a psychologist, or if you're planning to go, if they're telling you to take any kind of barbiturates or also known as antidepressants, don't do it. Don't do it, because this is something that will completely mess up your brain, and it will be very difficult to recover and to come back to your normal state. It's much better to practice holistic methods instead of going for the quick fixes that are fixing you now by numbing your emotions, but they're not fixing anything deep. And it will not help you long term. It will just make you destroy you more, because these antidepressants are having so many side effects. I know so many people that gained so much weight with antidepressants. They changed completely. Their moods were completely different. And instead of gaining confidence and becoming more emotionally stable, these people became they ended up in a worse situation than they were before they started their therapies. So if you're interested to go deeper, you're more than welcome to join my course and to join the community that I want to create a community that will be focused on supporting each other, helping each other to heal, to grow, and to encourage each other to encourage other people to look within themselves. Because people are so busy with today's world, with everything that is going on, and they forget that the most important thing in your life is you, and that you should do the things that are making you happy, that are making you fulfilled, because at the end of the day, the only one that you have is you. You might think that you have your brothers, your sisters, your mom, your dad, but when you think deeper, the only one that you have is you. And I really want to encourage people to go deeper into inner work, not only for themselves, but also for their loved ones. Because it's going to help you not only for yourself, it's going to help you for your professional life. You're going to perform better, you're going to feel better, and you're going to affect in a positive way everyone around you. So the therapy was life-changing for me. And once I was done with this therapy, I continued with the practices that were helping me to connect to my inner child that I'm going to share shortly. Hello. Alex and Miguel are almost always here. So cool to see you guys. Hello, Mark. Okay, let me continue, and feel free to drop questions if you have any questions in the chat. So let me now tell you the steps that I'm doing on a consistent basis that are helping me to connect with my inner child. So the way how I mainly connect with my inner child is through visualization. This is the most powerful way. I've tried multiple techniques, but the one that is most powerful for me personally is visualization. For other people, it might be something else, but it's not just visualization that I'm doing. I always, whenever I do inner work, mindfulness, however, there are so many different words for the same process, the same technique, the same things, that I try to use all of them so that if you know at least one, you will know what I'm talking about. So mindfulness, visualization, and journaling are part of mindfulness techniques, or it's also called KBT therapy in psychology. So my most powerful way is visualization. After that is journaling. I have a journal in which I'm writing about my day-to-day emotions, day-to-day thoughts, different ideas. I don't want to process my emotions in my head. I like to put them on paper to detach from them and to analyze them from an observer perspective. So journaling is one thing, but I'm not using my journal only to connect with my inner child. I'm using my journal for multiple things. But this is also helping me to build awareness and to be more mindful for different situations where I reacted where my inner child reacted, and I wasn't aware of these actions at the moment when I reacted. I analyzed everything that happened afterwards. So that's how I'm using my journal. The visualizations are always just something that I do to feel at ease. Whenever I feel that I have been with too many people, that when I didn't have time to recharge myself, when I feel like my emotions I'm moody, I always do a visualization to connect with my inner child. The journaling is something that I do on a day-to-day basis to increase my awareness and to be more mindful for all types of actions, mainly the ones that are coming from unhealed wounds. And with time, you will see that such kind of situations will diminish, because the more that you work with yourself, the more aware you become, and you will not have these impulsive reactions anymore. You are going to be that aware that you're going to be just an observer of something that was triggering you before. So something that might be triggering you today, the more that you work with your inner child, the more that you work with yourself, you are not going to get triggered anymore in the future once you heal the wounds that are getting hurt when the trigger comes. And then another thing that I'm practicing, and this is something that I learned from Dr. Nicole Lepera. She's a holistic psychologist, and she's teaching techniques about reparenting practices. That's how she calls them. And this is a practice or a therapy where you speak to yourself like you are the parent, the loving parent that you want to have. Or because, for example, I know you might say, but I love my parents, Anna. We all love our parents. I love my mom, I love my dad, but it doesn't mean that they didn't make mistakes. It's not that they wanted to make a harm. It's not that they wanted to make you feel abandoned. It's not that they wanted to hurt you. They just did what they thought is the best, but that doesn't mean that they knew what is the best for you. So the reparenting practice that Dr. Nicole is teaching is to start speaking to yourself as the loving parent that you wish you had, and to be a parent to yourself and to give to your inner child whatever you were wishing for as a kid that you didn't get. And this is something that I do all the time. So I might be wrong saying that visualization is the first thing that I'm using. I think it's the reparenting that I'm using on a day-to-day basis more, because the visualizations are not something that I do every single day. I do visualize, but I don't visualize connection with my inner child. Sometimes I visualize what I have on my vision board. It depends on how I feel that specific day. But when it comes to reparenting practice or reparenting therapy, I'm doing this every single day. So whenever I see something that before I would think like, oh no, you better save money, you better don't do this, you better do that. So for example, when I want to buy something and the previous me was thinking, Anna, you should save money, you should help your family, you should help your sisters, you should help you should create a business that will help you. Like, I was all the time thinking of, I should create as much as I can to help everyone, but I wasn't rewarding myself for anything. So if I would like to buy something and I was considering this thing as expensive, I would be like, no, I better save this money because I need them for building this thing that will help my father, my mother, my family, whatever. And this was something that has been programmed in me as a child, to neglect my needs and to put other people first. It's something that wasn't in my control. It's not something that my parents wanted to force into me. It's just something that happened. And I took this caretaker role and this parenting role at home. So now, whenever I wake up, whenever I start writing in my journal, because I have a gratitude journal, I have another journal. So when I write in my gratitude journal, what are the things that will make today perfect? This is one of the questions that I'm answering every single morning. I would always ask my inner child, what do you feel like having today, little kid? Like I'm talking to my inner child, like I'm seeing myself 4 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old in front of me. And she's just telling me, I want this. I want to dance. Okay, we got this. We go and dance. I want to have fruit salad. Okay, we fix this. Like I'm all the time talking to myself, like I'm talking to my inner child. For some people, it's difficult to connect with the inner child. But if it's difficult for you to connect with your inner child, start treating yourself like you would like to treat your son or your daughter. And I'm playing with these two roles depending on how I feel. Sometimes I treat myself like I would treat my daughter. Sometimes I imagine myself as me as a kid in front of myself and asking myself, what do you feel like having today? What do you need today? Do you need to rest? Do you need to read a book? Do you need to go for a walk? I'm always checking what is the need that you have that you want me to give to you. Sometimes it might be a hug. Sometimes it might be, I would hug myself. People might think I'm crazy, but I will just squeeze myself and give myself a warm hug. And this is from a biological perspective or a physiological perspective, this boosts the oxytocin like you're receiving a hug from a loved one. So it's some people might call you crazy, but it works because not only biology, neuroscience explains it. It's proven. It's not so people that say, "Oh, this is BS" or it's new age cool stuff. People don't have. So I hear many people saying everything is developing and people just don't know what to come up with anymore. That's why they're finding out these new terms. No, I'm starting to read. I've been reading books. I was telling to one of my colleagues, I'm obsessed with books that are hundreds of years old, from 1920s, 1890s. I'm reading very old books and I'm mind blown to see things that I've learned from holistic medicine in those books. From one side, I'm mind blown, but from the other side, I'm not, because those are the ways that have been used in the past before the society decided to set rules to create this system, the matrix, so that they can operate in the way that they want. Now, I know that some people might say, for example, when you connect with your inner child and when you start working on different wounds to understand your emotions, so connection with your inner child is the most important thing for understanding your emotions, and healing the wounds is very important for emotional regulation. So once you heal the wounds with your inner child, you will be able to regulate your emotions much, much better. And I know that some people might say, what if I can't remember anything from my childhood? I've had clients that I've worked with that have told me that, and I personally didn't have many memories from childhood until I started healing different wounds and things started coming to my mind. So how did I do it? Like when I started digging deeper into the subconscious mind, things that were hidden there came on the surface. That's why many people think that once you start a therapy, you should start feeling amazing straight away. No, usually the way how it works is you first start feeling different emotions. So the emotions that you've been suppressing, you start feeling them, but you start processing them. You start like getting them out. So as I was crying during the whole this therapy, like tears were just falling from my eyes. I couldn't stop them. That's how, like, some people might cry, some people might scream, some people might just feel sadness and they would not like to talk to anyone. So everyone is going through the therapy in a different way, depending on what kind of things they have been suppressing. And if you feel like you are a person who can't remember many things from childhood, this is coming from multiple, there might be multiple reasons why you can't remember things from your childhood. The first thing is called dissociation as a coping mechanism that is explained by many psychologists. So this is when a child is experiencing emotional neglect or trauma or chronic stress, and the brain is disconnecting from these experiences just to kind of protect you in a form of protection. So this is called dissociation, and it's a survival mechanism where the mind is just getting numb in order to protect, not to feel overwhelmed by the things that are happening in your surrounding. So this is the first thing. I already finished my water and my mouth is so dry. I apologize. So, the second one, give me a second. I have to have a bottle of water here, not just a glass. That's happening when you're live streaming. When you don't record videos. When you don't record videos beforehand. But I love authenticity. This is normal to happen. The air is very dry here, so my mouth is getting dry by me talking so much and not having water. It's just making it even worse. So, okay. I think I'm feeling better. Oh my God. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be fine to wrap up the video. Oh, okay. So the first one, as I said, was dissociation as a coping mechanism. The second one is freeze response from your amygdala. So whenever you perceive a threat, your amygdala, that is the fight, flight, or freeze response that is supposed to protect you, will get triggered. So some people are only aware of flight and fight, but there is a flight, fight, and freeze response to a threat. So whenever you're in a situation where your brain is perceiving a threat that you have felt as a child, you might, let me actually take some water because I'm not going to be able to finish the stream. Oh my God, crazy. Не съм завършила, за това вземах вода да се напия. Okay, I'm back. Feeling better. So let me start from the beginning. Why some people can't remember memories from childhood. So the first thing is dissociation, a coping mechanism that many psychologists are explaining. And this is caused when a child is experiencing different types of emotional neglect, trauma, or chronic stress, and the brain is just disconnecting from the environment, not to feel the overwhelm from the situation, from the surrounding. So this is just a form of a way how your brain is trying to protect you. Then the second one is the freeze response from the amygdala. So the amygdala is the protection center in your brain. Is the center that is responsible for to protect you, but the problem with the amygdala is that it cannot recognize between a real and an imaginary threat. So whenever the amygdala perceives any kind of threat, it triggers fight, flight, or freeze response. And depending on different situations, you might have flight or fight or freeze response depending on in different situations. So some people are responding with one way to any kind of threat, but other people are responding to different threats in different ways. But for example, people that have been usually using the freeze response as children whenever there was a threat. So let's say if your parents were fighting and you felt overwhelmed by listening to your parents fighting, by going to something traumatic at home, you might have been just hiding in the corner as a kid and just waiting for them to stop because you felt like this was a very overwhelming and stressful situation for you. And whenever a child feels unsafe, they are gonna trigger one of these responses, the flight, the fight, or the freeze response. Fight is when they start attacking the person that makes them feel unsafe, which is the least common one that I've observed among children, but I haven't read any specific studies, so I don't know if it's statistically proven that this is the least common one. From what I've observed myself, I've seen more the flight or the freeze response. So with freeze response, it's similar to the dissociation that I previously mentioned. That's when you shut down your emotions, when you shut down not just emotionally, but also physically. So the freeze response, in a difference from the dissociation, is not just shutting down the emotional, but also the physical responses. Then the third one is emotional neglect and lack of co-regulation. So if your parents didn't help you to soothe your emotions and they were saying, for example, you're a boy, you should not cry. This is an emotional neglect. Every single person needs to process their emotions. So if you need to cry, you have to cry. It's not a shame to cry. But many parents tend to say to boys, especially, you're a big boy, it's a shame to cry. This is an emotional neglect. And whenever you've been told something like that, what you have learned or programmed your mind is not to process your emotions, but to suppress them. And as a coping mechanism, again, the brain has taught you to just numb yourself. That's why whenever you numb yourself, you're not allowing your emotions to get processed. And usually what makes us memorize something is the strong emotion. So when you're numbing the emotion, that's why you are kind of losing the memory. And when you start with therapies, don't feel that it's something bad if you start recalling some bad memories from before that you couldn't remember. It's just a good sign that your healing has started, that you are in the right path, that you are implementing the right techniques, you're doing the right thing. And then another thing, the last thing, is adaptive forgetting. And that's when that's because the brain is prioritizing survival, and it suppresses all the memories that are painful, confusing, threatening, just to save energy. And these memories are, as I said, it's not that you don't have them. They are just sitting in the subconscious mind. You're just not aware of them. And the only way how you can work through all these things is just through therapy, through inner work, meditation, and similar techniques. So they are kind of connected, and they are very similar, but the differences are kind of small between all of them. If I'm gonna summarize in a simple way why people can't remember their childhood, it's just a coping mechanism from the brain that wanted to keep you safe when you were feeling unsafe in an environment. So instead of allowing you to process these overwhelming emotions, it was just numbing your emotions and making you to store them in your subconscious mind, to suppress them instead of expressing them. So a healthy thing is to express emotions, because suppression leads to depression. Expression is the one that will help you to process the emotions and to have better emotional regulation. Let me know in the chat if you could find yourself in something that I've been talking about today. And let me know, I know that it might be sensitive for you to share what I'm going to ask you now, but I highly encourage you to at least write it in your journal as a prompt, part of inner work that I'm going to give you today as a task is to ask your inner child what would they need today, what would they need to hear, what would they need to receive. Or another thing that you could do is write a letter to your little one, to your little self. Chino, след това ми се случва, затова бях далеко от топ листите в момента. Работа на себе, много съм благодарна, ще го правиш. Thank you so much, Chino. I'm so happy to see you here. So just to translate, Chino is resonating with everything that has been happening to me. And I know that many people will resonate. I know that so many people are struggling. The more that I'm meeting with people, the more that I see that everyone has to start with inner work. Because like I met so many people, for example, in Cyprus during the IFX Expo, and whoever I talked to for a longer period of time, they were telling me that they're struggling with some form of emotional regulation, with sleep, with anxiety. And I'm like, oh, wow, I have clients all over the place. But it's not about clients. I'm just joking. It's something I know that so many people are suffering from all these things. There are so many high achievers. And that's why I want to help people to overcome the things that I was struggling with, because I know how bad it was. I know how hopeless you might feel. I know how lost you might feel. I know how that you might be thinking, what's the point of life? Because at one point I was thinking like, what is the point of my life? What is the point of me living and feeling so miserable? I had such kind of thoughts. So I know that many people might resonate with everything that I'm talking about. So yeah, if you want to dig deeper, you're more than welcome to join my community and to join my course. I will be more than happy to help you in the process. Personally, I don't think that I would ever be able to overcome all these things on my own, because you don't know what you don't know. And that's why I was so desperate and open-minded to try anything, because I was desperate for a change. I wanted help. And I'm so glad that I found it. So now I really want to help other people to work with themselves and to find their inner peace, to find their joy. When I took out the pictures to find something for the thumbnail, because I wanted to include some pictures of me as a child, as a kid on the thumbnail. I was like, oh my God, all these memories, like I'm gonna definitely sit and look at all the pictures now, because it's really good to kind of go back and start reflecting. It's a really good practice when you actually connect with your inner child, when you work with yourself, to go back and try to look at pictures and remember, or ask your parents, your sisters, your brothers about different stories related to the pictures. Because I was having many gaps in memories from childhood, and it was my little sister that was helping me and supporting me to remember some of the things. And at first, some things I couldn't remember them whatsoever. Other things I started refreshing my memories once I started healing, which was mind-blowing. Okay, my battery on the laptop is also about to die, so it's a good moment to wrap it up. So I've been talking about lots of things. I'm not going to summarize it because it's going to take me quite a lot of time. But what we talked about today, I was going to forget about something very important, actually. So everything that I talked about here is pretty much surface level, but it's enough for information for you to start doing something about your inner programming. Let me just see. Yeah, one more thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm not going to go deep into the neural pathways that are formed when you're a kid, because this is just the scientific part. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. I can cover it in another video, but it's not part of the therapy. That's why I'm not going to cover it in this video. But the neural pathways that have been created when you were a kid are the ones that are being rewired with inner work. So the more you do inner work, the more that you connect with your inner child, you're rewiring your brain. And when it comes to performance, some people might say, you're a performance coach. Why are you making a video talking about inner child? Because I've realized how important it is and how much it affects your performance. So something that no one tells to any high achiever is that your inner child can be either your biggest asset or your biggest liability. And the example that I gave at the beginning of this video with me being quick in jumping into a sabotaging loop was the deep programming that was from the inner child wound that I couldn't break with any help of a psychologist, with any journaling. I needed to go deeper to be able to overcome that. And something that I want to mention is the benefits that you get when you do inner work. So when you do inner work, when you heal your inner child wound, when your inner child starts feeling safe and heard, and you meet the needs of the inner child, they will fuel you with a lot of creativity, with intuition and joy. And that's when you're gonna start taking aligned actions. When you don't meet the needs of your inner child, that's when you're gonna operate in survival mode, and you're gonna listen to the critical voices that are coming from different situations in your life, from different people in your life. But once you take care of your inner child, you will be able to hear the intuition, the true inner voice that is guiding us to live a joyful, peaceful, and fulfilling life. So if you're wounded and you're ignoring the wounds that you have, that your inner child has, you're just sabotaging your success through perfectionism, through people pleasing, and with burnouts. So those are the things that I personally struggled with, and I believe that many people have been struggling with them. So let me summarize one more time. How inner child wounds are connected to performance? When your inner child is not feeling safe and not feeling seen and heard, it will keep you in survival mode, and you will sabotage your success through perfectionism, procrastination, people pleasing, and burnout. Once you heal your inner child, once you meet the basic needs of your inner child, it will gift you with creativity, with intuition and joy. This will make you a better trader. It will make you a better business leader. It will make you a better partner. It will make you a better person. And with that, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. It's a topic that I can talk about for hours. And let me know in the comments if you want me to focus deeper into one aspect, or whatever topic you want me to cover in future live streams. Thank you so much for joining. Apologies for the short interruption. Things like that happen. But what I appreciate is authenticity, and what I'm celebrating is getting rid of the perfectionism that was holding me back before. Before, I would go crazy if things are not perfect. I would postpone different tasks because I wasn't feeling that it was good enough. I wanted all the time things to be perfect. But this perfect is just coming from a childhood wound. And now I'm celebrating being imperfect. I have it even on my tattoo. I think I've mentioned, I'm sure I have mentioned it for sure even before. So being imperfect is the most perfect thing you can be, because that's what makes you special. That's what makes you you, and that's what makes you authentic. That's what makes you unique. So don't let perfectionism to sabotage you. Be authentic, be the real you, and show that you're a human being. Whoever wants to judge you, they can judge you. They're judging you because you're triggering them. They're not judging you because of the one that you are. They just want to be like you, but they can't be. And if they want to become, they have to do inner work. Okay, enough for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe, leave a like if you like the video, and I hope to see you in the next